I just want to quickly remind myself what it is that I want to discuss with you. So I'm looking at a screen you can't see, which would be useful for you. Okay, never mind. Let's just get on with it. All right. So this is what we went through last week. How to dimension this piece which I'd modeled up. And this is what it ideally should look like. So if one of you handed me a drawing which looked like this, this would get 100%. Okay. All the dimensions are in place. Ignore this one here. Ignore that view. Just these two views here. And today I was going to show you a much quicker way of dimensioning, but I seem to have missed or lost my thread somewhere as to how to do it. Let's see if we can try this again. Let's pull this out the way. So I'm going to go to my view palette. I'm going to drag this in. There we go. And you see straight away it locks the view to an existing view. So at the moment I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to go to
There's no screen full.
Oh, hey, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Thank you for reminding me. Oh dear, I wonder if it isn't that. It just seems to be some sort of conflict here that's messing around. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is what I'd done last week, and I just want to go through this process again because it's important that you follow this. I'm going to show you a way of doing instant dimensioning that's going to create a horrible mess, and I'm going to try and show you how not to do that. So I'm just going to break alignment for this view so now I can drag it to where I want it to be. Okay. So we'll start off with under annotations with datum features, and I'm going to select my 3 datums. But before I do that, I need another view. So I'm going to select projected view. Okay. Datum feature. So the bottom of this thing will be my first datum. Pull it up nice and far. That plane there will be my second datum. And that'll be my third. And it's just renaming them as HIJ because I've used up the other letters already. So I can always go into this datum and I can rename it on the left hand side A. And that one I can go to make it B. And this one C. So once you've got your datums established, then you've got the basis for doing all of your dimensioning. So you know that everything that you do has to start from that vertex and that plane. The next thing you really must do straight away is put in all the center marks that are not in. And if you've got my latest settings, Solidworks, I forget the name, the ISO modified file, if you've got it loaded, then it should actually put in a lot of these center marks for you. So center marks and center lines. So I'm just going to select these 3, these 4, 5. And you'll see that these are separate. On the left-hand side here, you can actually join them. If I can find the right command. I think it's if you select the middle button and you say connection lines, you'll see now that if I select this, it's one connected piece, not 4 separate center lines. So that's that done. Center mark I'm going to use again. I'm going to use it with this slot. And at the moment, it's on the center of the slot. I prefer to see it that you've got the 2 centers, and I'll explain shortly why that is. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, I've chosen the linear center mark instead of this first one. Right, so basically all the center lines are in place. I need one more, but trying to remember there's a quicker way of doing this. I need a circle in here. Just put that in quickly. And then that must just be a construction line. So once I've got everything established, one more thing. I need a center line here, because this piece, because it's a slot, should be dimensioned from the center. So I'm going to go to center line, and I select two lines, 1, 2, and it puts it in for me. Okay, so then the next step is to put in your position dimensions. So just remember, if you don't have a starting point for a feature, you can't tell someone where to start the feature. So you just go to this slot here as an example. I'm going to draw in a circle as a representation of a milling bit or some sort of bit. It will be a milling bit. So I'm just going to draw something in roughly like that. And I want to be able to, oops, I want to drag this around. If you imagine that someone has to, in plan view, they have to figure out where to bring this milling bit to start from. It would be in the center of that piece there. So that's really where I want to start dimensioning from. And then the milling bit's going to move across to that center. So if you can think like that, if you can think, well, how would the slots be made? Whoever's doing it has to say, okay, from this point, go up by a certain amount to there. And then from that point, go to the right a certain amount to that point. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's just fill in the location dimensions. So I'm going to go to Smart Dimension and just show you a few things about Smart Dimension that I didn't show you last week, and maybe get it right to show you the very quick way. So there's Dimension Expert. If you click on it, you'll see you can either toggle between Smart Dimensioning or Dimension Expert. You can select under here Polar Dimensioning, which would be this dimension here, or the linear dimension, which is what we're going to use now. And then all you have to do is select a vertex, right, and then select a feature. So in this case, I can select that piece there, and you'll see it'll actually put in all the dimensions that you've placed, or that you've actually created in your drawing already. So the little bit of a problem with this is that it puts the dimension in the wrong place, for one. So they're contradicting one of my rules, that you must have the shortest possible leader lines. And then number two, they aren't really dimensioning to the right position. So this 8.75, I can now change this by just picking this point and selecting this slot in, this radius, and it'll actually then put in that dimension. So that's the position. So I'm going from that line up to that point. So I've got the position and I've got the size. And this one similarly, if I just drag this across, select that arc, it'll give me 10. So there's the starting point. And then this here, that's not really useful because that tells me the total length. What I really want is for it to tell me what the center conditions are, because that's how far the milling bit needs to travel. So I have to go into this leaders feature tree manager and select centers or minimum. I think minimum would also work. No, it wouldn't. We want centers. Okay, and so there I have a correctly dimensioned item. I've got the two location dimensions, that's the X one and the Y one, and I've got the size, which is 7.5. In the Y direction, I've got the length in the X direction, and everything's good to go for this thing. Okay, so what you might have noticed is that by using this smart dimension, I have in fact selected something in which the dimensions are pre-populated. So if I do that again, I'm going to try that again. Let's go back to, I've got smart dimension selected, I've got dimension expert selected, it's linear dimension, baseline. Don't worry about chain for now. It's a different dimension convention. I don't want you to use it. I select that vertex, which is just really that line and that line, which are my two datums. And then I select this feature. You'll see it actually populates that with the size and the position, but not complete. So in this case, oh, it is actually complete. Here we go. That's that place there. All right, and the only thing that I'm not happy about now is that this 59 isn't quite what I want. I want it to go from here to the center of that one. It seems not to want to do. Ah, there we go. Got it. All right. Now, the only thing it hasn't done is hasn't told me what the pitch is of this thing. So I need to just put in one more dimension, which is from here to here. Actually, I seem to have actually lost that dimension. Just go back. Sorry about that. I didn't click the OK button, so I'll quickly do that from here to there. Say OK. Drag these across. That one's good. Okay, I think the secret here is that you have to be able to select the center of this item. No, not quite. Okay, sometimes a little bit tricky. Okay, so that's all good. Save that. And then okay, now what I forgot to do there is I forgot to take off Dimension Expert and instead select Smart Dimension. So you've got to just be a little bit careful about how you go about starting the command. I don't need that. Let's do that again. Smart Dimension is actually still activated, so I should be able to go from, let's hope it does it, from here to here. There we go. Okay, so I had to hold the shift button down there just to make sure it selected both of those items. And last time I said to you that you need to put in here the word pitch. You don't need to do that. It's fine if you do. You can just dimension the instance count. So I'm not sure how to do it. I did get it right last time. Think, to see if I can get this right, under dimensions, no, that's not going to do it. Sorry about that. Let's start that again. Smart dimension. Okay, I've forgotten where to find it. I'll have to find it for you and update my video. There is a way in which this will actually borrow from your actual model how many of these pieces there are, and it'll put in the number. So it would put in an instance count. I'm just going to put in an annotation for now, just to show you this is all you need to do. So I don't want a leader on this. Let's take the leader off. No leader. There's no leader. Take that off. Take that off. Doesn't want to do it. 5. Okay, so that's all you need is a number, and the number will tell you that there are 5 of these items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you've got 18.5 as the distance between. I see that's not between centers, is it? Yes, it is. Okay, that's great. All right, so that's as far as I think I needed to take you with this. Let's just see what else. Yes, sorry, no, there are a few other little bits and pieces. So this feature here would benefit. Running out of time. Wow. Okay, we've got 10 minutes left. That's how quickly these things go. Quickly go back to, sorry about this world. Annotation, smart dimension. I'm going to use Dimexpert, and this time I'm going to use polar dimension. And then I should be able to select one of these items. It says here by vertex whole center. So I'm going to select, let's see if I can get this right. Okay, it's not working as it should be. My apologies. This is really not. Right, I'm actually at a loss. I had this sorted out, and I don't have it sorted out anymore. So I'm going to have to figure that out and actually edit it into my video so that you can watch and just check out what's going on. It should be able to just select this whole feature. What I wanted to show you maybe just quickly before the session ends. I think we'll leave it at this for the session. Whatever I have failed to do, I'll fix up in the edited version. But I want to just see if I can get this right to dimension a feature. So I'm going to use the Dimexpert function, and I'm going to use that vertex, and then I'm going to try and select just this item here. Right, and it's actually, yes, this is in fact done the correct thing. So you can see that these dimensions here dimension almost exactly what I want. So that 128 is absolutely correct. That's the position of the beginning of this dimension here. The 131 is correct because that's the beginning of that feature. The heights, this one here, I don't need, but what I could do is just go like this. Let's delete that one. Oh. Sorry, I should have clicked OK. I will leave it like this for now. You get the picture. That's the right thing. What I do want you to just have a look at is these dimensions all come from my model. So I'm not going to be able to do that because I had it open in the previous session, but not in this session. So I'm going to open this model and just go to that feature, edit the sketch, and there you'll see that all the dimensions that are replicated in that drawing come from what I've done here. So if you've done all this work of dimensioning your sketches so that they are fully dimensioned or properly constrained, you don't have to reuse those dimensions if you've done this already. What it might do is, like here I've created a block which is centered. It might actually sometimes give you a sort of a misaligned dimension in which these dimensions actually start out in space. So if that happens, just remember to go and change what this feature looks like. For instance, that could be much smaller. So I'm just re-establishing some dimensions here. Let's make that 0.5. So there's nothing wrong with this sketch, perfectly okay. If I go back to this drawing, going to update it. So what might have happened there is like this dimension here might have started out in space. Let's see if I can get that right. That thing might have started somewhere around here. So that would have been because the block was too large. So let's go back to that. Yes, and here, so the only other thing here is to fix this up a little bit. So we don't need 30.5. And this one here would be better. In fact, we don't need it. So the only thing I need now is to go introduce that. Make sure it's not on Feature Manager. Okay, and how much time have we got left?
You've got 4 minutes, Bill.
4 minutes, thanks. Right, and so there was one other thing I need to show you here, if I can remember what it is. Let's just dimension this quickly and see. Down to 5.2. Yeah, now you really should be able to use this feature manager. Dimension expert, sorry. Polar dimension. That's what I'm not doing. Okay, so you got to select the center of the feature first. It's very difficult to see even for me. It's that axis, and then it's this feature. Hasn't done it. Let's try that again. So that's the axis, and then I think if I just select this one, no. Well, that's fine. That's actually great because if you have a look at my actual model, I'm not going to show it to you now because you're running out of time, but this little symbol here says that it only goes to a depth of 10. So I don't even have to go and section through this view here to show what the depth of that hole is. But I can do that. I should be able to now do that same dimensioning scheme by selecting this center and one of these holes. I'm selecting a few just to see what happens. No, it doesn't do it. Okay, so I will have to figure that one out and let you know. And the last thing, just before we go, so I will see you next week. Last week I showed you that you can auto-arrange this by going to Align and auto-arrange. A better way to do it is just to go to space evenly, and you can even space evenly from left to right, but if I just space evenly, it'll space them out. So if I were to drag this one out a bit, and then select those ones, including this one here, and do the same thing, you'll see it'll space them evenly according to the total width of what you're selecting. So if I pull that in, And if it doesn't, then you can auto arrange as well. So if it doesn't align them from smallest to biggest, which is what it should do, after you've spaced them evenly, just go and auto arrange, and then it'll space them nicely. Any questions?